Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor, Madison365, with the daily update for January 14th. We will talk through a few COVID numbers, and then we'll get into some other local and statewide news. Just one thing to note, as we're sort of still working our way through toward the inauguration of the president, and it has the mayor of Madison and the interim police chief and the president of the Wisconsin Sheriff's Association, it's Badger State Sheriff's Association, have all kind of said that there's nothing specific. It doesn't seem like there's any specific threat in Madison, right? After the whole insurrection thing last week, there has been some concern and there's been some online chatter that some of those types of folks who are unhappy with the presidential election results or who don't believe the results are valid might target local capitals in some states, especially states like Wisconsin that were close and contentious and whose results were challenged. But authorities in Madison say that they aren't aware of any specific plans. It's hard to be aware of those plans because the big platforms, Facebook and Twitter, have sort of are no longer available to plan or announce those type of protests and events and things. So I've had a hard time just keeping, looking. I used to be able to keep track of when all the protests were happening because they were all on Facebook. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit harder to really get connected to them. So I don't expect anything big to happen here over the weekend or on Inauguration Day. I would imagine there'll be some, people carrying Trump flags or something, but nothing terribly violent. However, it's also worth noting, just like any other person in any other profession, I get invitations to like different trainings and webinars and that kind of stuff all the time. Today, I've gotten two, not one, but two invitations to two different training sessions on safety, on journalist safety and how to cover protests without getting shot or hurt, which is so great. This is where we're at. Good. Thank you. So anyway, I'll be keeping an eye out. I'm not planning to go down to the Capitol this weekend, really, unless I hear of something that's happening. But we'll keep you informed if anything does happen. But let's get past that and let's get into the COVID numbers, which are actually really good today. And I have a little more information for you than I did yesterday. We talked a little bit yesterday about vaccinations, and somebody had some questions about vaccine numbers, and I do have more numbers. In fact, let me start this. What we know now is the state has just in the past few days started to add vaccination data to their like online data dashboard thing. And here's what we know: 195,152 vaccine doses have been administered. Yesterday it was like 176,000, if you remember. So that means like almost 20,000 doses have been administered just in the past 24 hours, which is, I mean, I know there's been some concern about it being slow and about it being, it's a little confusing and like there's not a lot of information, like who's supposed to be getting these and how do I go about finding out, how do I find out when I can get mine, that kind of thing. So I can't help you much with that. That's still a little bit opaque. But I can tell you that, 20,000 doses have gotten into people in the past 24 hours, which feels to me like, I don't know, it's progress, I guess. What I can also tell you is that 26,000 where'd it go? So 26,708 Wisconsin residents have received both doses. So there's 26,708 people who are fully vaccinated or, have gotten both doses. I think it takes another week or two before they're fully immune or whatever, which means that there's about 140,000 people who've gotten one dose and are awaiting the second. Does that make sense? So we'll keep you apprised. I'm going to start keeping track of that number every day, just like I do all the other numbers. just kind of keep you apprised as to how that is progressing. We know today that we've had about 9,700 new tests, of which 2,712 were positive. So that positive rate's about 28%, which is, not great. But again, that's just tests that are reported today, right? That doesn't, and a lot of those actually took place over the past couple of days. And when you actually put them on the correct date and then do an average of those dates, what you get is the the positive test rate for the last 7 days continues to go down and go down sharply. Right now we are at 27% of all people tested positive. That was 28.1 yesterday. So on a 7-day average like that, when it's supposed to be, supposed to smooth out the spikes, to drop or to rise by a full percentage point at a time that's significant, right? So that's good news that's gone down that much. The positive rate for all tests also went down by 0.5 point, which is really great. Went from 9.4 to 8.9. So right now, 8.9% of every test over the past 7 days has been positive. That's different than the other number because lots of people get tested more than once over the course of a week, right? So that's still, just under 9%. We need that to be below like 3, right? So 8.9 is still really too high. But the fact that it's headed in the right direction means that whatever spike happened after Christmas, which definitely there was a bit of a spike after Christmas, was short and has already turned around, which is more than I would have hoped for, honestly. So that's going to continue to go down, one hopes. We've also got 42 deaths to report today, which doesn't feel great. Again, the daily average of reported deaths is now 30, right? That was like 60 in November. So that's another number that's, too high, obviously, but is going down. Same can be said for hospitalizations. It went up a little bit yesterday and is back down today. It's back down below 1,000. 27 fewer people hospitalized today than yesterday. It's now 998 people currently hospitalized in Wisconsin. 229 are in ICU. That's 5 more than yesterday. So the ICU population went up a tiny bit. But currently hospitalized is down. That's been one of those numbers that's been going down, 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 up for a day, then down, 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 then up a little bit, and then down. So but the trend is downward, which is good. Now we talk about where the fatalities occurred today. This has got to be a catch up. The Sheboygan County reporting 8 deaths today. I would imagine, it's kind of like they're catching up on reporting from several weeks. But Milwaukee County also reports 5. Racine County and Dane County both report 4. 3 in Portage County, and then 2 in Vilas, Oneida, Marinette, Dodge, and Columbia counties, and then 1 each in Wood, Trempealeau, St. Croix, Rock, Outagamie, Monroe, Kenosha, and Eau Claire counties. So, pretty widely spread out. And in terms of cases per capita, again, we're looking at rural counties. Outagamie County today, 108 new cases, which is kind of a lot. That's 57 basically per 100,000 residents, which is the highest in the state today. So, that's not bad. That the highest number is 57. Not long ago that was over 100, right? So, our numbers, generally speaking, just our number of new cases and the number of new cases per capita are also down, partly because we're testing a little bit less, but also because just, things seem to be improving here in Wisconsin, which is more than can be said for several other places. I mean, Arizona's in rough shape right now. Los Angeles, Southern California, really rough shape right now. So, Wisconsin's doing better, which is good. All right. I think that's basically all the COVID news I have for you today. Margie in the comments mentions, Yeah, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Not yesterday, a couple days ago. Department of Administration did put out a memo to everybody who works in the Capitol that that the ground floor windows are being boarded up, that that you should work remotely if you can, that and if you can't, if you have to be in the building, you should be aware of your surroundings, which is a nice way to say watch out, because there might be some lunatics coming. When I say the Madison police chief and the mayor say there's no specific threat, it doesn't mean there's no threat. I didn't mean to imply that. It's just they're not aware of a. It's not like somebody has announced that they're planning to come and cause trouble. But there is definitely a possibility that there will be a protest that they don't know about, or that is a little bit like spontaneous, which could get violent. So again, I'm not terribly concerned. I don't think anything big is going to happen. It just doesn't. It feels like everything happened last week, and then Trump coming out yesterday, and basically, really, finally, for the first time in a week, saying really strongly, "Please don't be violent." I think that has kind of all, and then deplatforming all these groups from Facebook and Twitter where they can't quite coordinate the same way they used to. It just feels to me like a lot of the air has been let out of that movement. I could be wrong. I could be optimistic. So I think it's going to be right though. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'll have more local news from Madison and Wisconsin, including some really exciting sports news, at least if you're a soccer nerd like me. So stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, as you probably know, Monday is Martin Luther King Day. It's also my daughter's 21st birthday. Happy birthday, Madeline, coming up soon. All the Martin Luther King Day activities are going to be virtual, in Madison at least. And it was announced today that Dr. Eddie Glaude Jr. Is going to be the keynote of the 36th annual MLK Day observance, but it's going to be online. It's going to be on the Martin Luther King Coalition website, and you can listen on WART FM, 89.9 FM in Madison, or wartfm.org. You can listen online. He is Mr. Glaude connects. Is a connection to the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. I think he's a professor he's a chair of the Center of African American Studies and the chair of the Department he's a chair. I'm sorry, let me say that again. He's the chair of the Center for African American Studies and the chair of the Department of African American Studies at Princeton University. And he's a alumnus of Morehouse, HBCU. He got his PhD from Princeton and then stayed there on faculty. So very smart, well-known academic speaker, and he's going to be the keynote for this 36th annual. And again, it's going to be online. If you go to Madison365.org right now, there's a story. You'll see this portrait. Just click on that. The story there has the link to their website and to WART FM, so you can watch on their website or listen on the radio. Should be a really good event. Also today we have a story on the Milwaukee Bucks. What you're looking at here is this platform called the Lonely Entrepreneur. It's an online learning thing where if you are starting a business, or if you started a business and just want to learn more and grow your business, you can go on under this platform, the Lonely Entrepreneur, and learn financial management, marketing, communications, legal, HR. There's tons of modules, like hundreds of little modules you can do to learn, and you can connect with mentors. Now, normally this costs $1,200 a year to get in on this. And from now until next Wednesday, the Milwaukee Bucks will pay for you to get this if you are a Black business owner. This is in honor of MLK Day. The Bucks have always been really all in on MLK Day. They actually invited us to bring our Black Power List folks to a Martin Luther King Day game a couple years ago, which was the awesomest thing ever, except the Bucks lost. But other than that, it was really awesome. But the Milwaukee Bucks are partnering with the Milwaukee chapter of the National Black MBA Association and MKE Black, and here locally with MadRep, the Madison Regional Economic Partnership, to connect Black entrepreneurs with this program for learning and mentorship and stuff. And it's a really cool program. And I talked with Jason Fields, who's the CEO of MadRep, so I get the story on Madison365.org today. Also today, the Madison Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority is now accepting scholarship applications. They give $1,000 scholarships to Madison area Black students who are just graduating seniors before they head off to college. And they just today opened up the applications for 2021. So Madison365.org right now. Find that picture, click it, you'll see the application right there. Then also today is the fourth installment of our Midwest Power Brokers list. We got Rashida Tlaib right there. We got Rob Barron who's from Iowa. He ran Joe Biden's Latino outreach in Iowa. We've got the Indiana, the CEO of the Indiana Black Expo. Got a vice president from Fifth Third Bank, just all sorts of different folks from all around the Midwest who are people of color who are doing really, really big, really influential things. And finally today, sports news that was just announced literally 10 minutes ago, which I got a heads up about a half hour ahead of time. Ford Madison is re-signing Jiro Barriga Toyama, who was he's the first person, sorry, let me go back. First person from their initial roster to sign for a third year. He was like a substitute striker in his first year with the club. Last year he played left back and was just outstanding as an attacking player from that left back position, which is the new head coach, Carl Craig, loves to use the wing defenders as attackers. And the very last goal of the season for the team was Jiro's first goal of the season, and it was voted goal of the year. Check this out.
Right up into the air, punched away by Meyer. Taking any chances with that. Trimming in. Eason moving for Jiro. Jiro having a hit, and it's in! Oh, it's in off the goalkeeper's hands! What a rocket from Jiro! 2-1 to Madison! There's some offense for Ford Madison. And Jiro, he gets his goal. His first of the season. Another look at on the American Family Insurance replay. Had some space, said why not? And Meyer couldn't keep it out. Pace and precision from the Ford Madison left back. Coming out of absolutely nothing there. Just dribbling forward, said why not?
So Jiro's the fifth player the club has announced. The other four were all played with the club last year, but not the first year. So Michael Vang, Josiah Trimmingham, a couple other guys. So Jiro's the first original Ford Madison player to sign, and that's very exciting. And it's still hopeful that the club will be able to play in Madison this year. It hasn't been ruled out yet, and the league is still trying to figure out when the season is going to start. Could start late April, could be kind of into May. Later is better for Madison, just because it's That's the way I see it, anyways. If the league starts later, Madison has a better chance of playing in Madison because it'll give us more time to get our COVID numbers in check. So that's the news for today. Appreciate you staying with me for 20 minutes. And look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful evening.
This is 365 Media.